So here's a question from you. Rebus is on the line. Pronouns are he, they. Wants to talk a little bit about evolution and why people are denying it. So welcome, Rebus. How can we help?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well-ish. I mean, considering I'm sick and irritated, but yeah, I'm good besides that.
I'm sickeningly irritating.
I have a yeah. So I'm facing some situation every day. I have a kind of a small following on some Chinese website, which is like a Quora. It's a question-based website. People ask me questions and answers. And because I'm majored in biology, a lot of questions is about evolution. And for some reason, people either don't believe in evolution or believe in some weird imagination version of evolution. But tons of them are not from a religious background. So I'm wondering, is there a deeper reason in just like humans just don't want to admit something? Like, why would this be so hard for them to believe? Even they're not like they believe in creationists. They're just denying evolution without any other reason. I don't understand. Like, is there a deeper reason, you think?
Would it be fair to assume that you are familiar with Buddhism?
I am, yes.
Okay, so you personally being familiar with Buddhism, when I was first taught about Buddhism, the message about Buddhism that was conveyed to me was how they revered suffering in some way, and I wish I could remember the way that it was presented. But I always thought that Buddhism was a very would be something that once I learned about it that I would be attracted to it. But the way that it was always described was always that you had to be a renunciate, and that suffering was the only truth, and a number of other lessons about Buddhism. I just had to revile against the way they were being described. And so when people are learn about evolution, they don't realize that evolution also offers that opportunity to be one with everything. I mean, imagine the spiritual connection when you realize where you are in the taxonomic tree, that you are connected to all other life. You are part of the oneness of the biosphere. It's just how people have been trained to look at it. So some people have been trained to look at it as in the most negative possible ways. I mean, the way that Christians, for example, Christian apologists will say that evolution defies natural laws, which it doesn't, and that it's that it worships death, which of course it doesn't. I mean, this is the way that Darwin described it was, the survival of organisms in the struggle for life. Survival. That doesn't sound like a worship of death, but that's the way people will parrot it. So it's all in the way that the propaganda is spinning it. And for me, I always took away the more positive Buddhist message out of it, that I am one with all other things.
Yeah, I mean, I have my own problems with Buddhism. It's not just because they prefer suffering and all the things.
I was not promoting Buddhism, just to be clear.
Yeah, they also prefer some deep or like just they saying a lot of things without actually saying things, and make people think they're saying something pretty deep, but it's just useless, whole bunch of mental masturbation thing. I'm not a big fan of those things. But the thing I'm running through is some people going to the same school with me. Like, we both graduated from the same high school. I went to high school in China. I know how they teach the evolution in high school. After my high school, I understand evolution pretty good. Not like very deeply, but I have a good understanding of what evolution does or what it actually is. But the same people went into the same education system, came out with denying about it. I just don't understand why people would do that. Like, is there a mental blockage? And I'm trying to figure out where the blockage is, because every time when I talk to them, it turns out they don't know what evolution is. I have this hypothesis. I have been doing this for a while. I just have a hypothesis. I think everybody that denies evolution does not really understand evolution. It's a hypothesis because I cannot really know if it's true or not. But as far like as now, I haven't met anybody denying evolution that can actually tell me what evolution is. So apparently, they start to deny something without even trying to understand this thing. I'm just wondering where that thought come from. Like, why would they think that? I couldn't really understand. I couldn't process that.
I agree with you. I agree with you completely. I don't know that it's an intellectual blockage, although so sometimes it does appear to be. More often, I think that it's an emotional block, because people are taught that you are expected to believe this, and you have to believe this in order to be saved. And if you believe this other thing, well, then you are damned, and so you are threatened with a fate worse than death if you accept this other idea. Because that's the way religion is taught, right? It has to be in absolutes and extremes. And there is no allowance that a good person could come to a different opinion because of data that compels them to do so. No, we're just all going to hell, because if I see a set of footprints and the footprints look like cleated boots, the tracks of cleated boots, I'm going to assume that somebody walked on that beach. Even if I was taught all my life that this is virgin land and nobody's ever been here, if I see those boot tracks and I'm barefoot and don't own boots like that, then I'm going to have to assume that somebody's been on that track, someone's been on that beach before, regardless what I was taught to believe all my life. But there are people who and I have people in my own family who are like this, who have been mentally conditioned to reject the reality that they know to believe something else that they know is not true. And this isn't common. This isn't everybody, but I know people who exemplify this, who will even admit that what they believe is not true. In one way or another, they phrase it different ways. It's hard to get this information out of them. One example is my own mother, for example. She had the Mormon missionaries come by to visit me, and they explain what they believe, and they provide a list on a piece of paper of Mormon beliefs. And so when they leave, I go to my mother with this list, and I say, "So you believe X, Y, and Z?" And she goes angrily, "No, we don't believe that." And I said, "Well, this piece of paper says you do." And so she ripped the paper out of my hand and threw it in the trash and said, "We don't believe that." So I go to get the paper back out of the trash, and she stands between me and the trash can to tell me that we don't believe that, knowing that I know that she knows that the piece of paper really says that, but that's a list of Mormon beliefs, and she knows that it says that, but she doesn't want me to get the paper to say, because she knows. I don't know how to describe that belief system.
Yeah, it's really frustrating sometimes talking to those people, and like it just I don't know if they're not honest to themselves, and I don't know what drives them to, because like I can understand from a religion background, because you have been indoctrinated. I don't understand when like most people in China, they don't believe in certain religion. They haven't been indoctrinated in some way of religion belief, but for some reason they just cannot believe evolution. They believe other things. Now
you said,
and some people,
you went to school for my own benefit, you said you went to school in China, right? High school in China?
Yes.
Did you say?
Yes.
Okay. When you talk about the people who were trained in evolution and don't accept evolution, are you talking about Chinese students?
Yes.
That I'm curious about, because I would have to assume that these people are not religiously motivated to reject evolution in that case. Is that true?
Yes. That's my problem. I don't understand where they come from.
Then I have to confess, I don't have an answer for that either, because without a religious objection, I don't understand what the problem is.
Have you talked to them?
That's my question. Sorry?
Have you talked to them? I mean, you're calling us to ask why other people don't believe something. Okay, what answer did they give you?
They don't give me answer. They keep asking me, why do you think this is true? And I give them more evidence. Then they just...
Rebus, then I guess you're just going to have to get comfortable with not knowing, because you don't know and we don't know, and they won't tell you. There are people that would love. I know lots of things. I know all kinds of secrets about people, and there are people who would love for me to tell them, but I'm not going to, and they're not going to find out any other way. And so you just got to get used to not knowing. It's uncomfortable, but I mean, that's where we're at. But I got to move on, Rebus. I've got one more call to get to before the show's over. I appreciate it. Hopefully you'll be able to ask one of them someday and they'll give you an answer.
Well, I hope that happens too.
Yep. Take care, man.